Welcome, my beautiful woman, to a Lingerie and Lattes episode. My name is Olivia Drumaga, and I founded Vulcanability as a guide for women to find self intimacy and then take that awareness and bring it into their relationships to connect better with men. So, if you don't know who I am, I've been studying everything from the mystic side to the history of sex to pretty much all aspects of relationships in order so that I can understand how to have the most pleasurable, the most uh, intimate experience that I could possibly have on this life in this lifetime. So today's topic, I don't know how to put this into a short phrase or one word, but I want to explore what the feminine brings into a space and kind of what she needs in order to nourish in her no, not nourish, in order to thrive in her environment. So if we think about what a woman brings into a relationship with a man, this whole energy of gentleness, kindness, inward awareness, the space of emotional intelligence comes to being. And when you have a relationship with a man and a woman, naturally there's going to be differences. And I've spoken a lot about this in my other episodes, so you can check that out. But essentially, if we think about the hormonal levels of a man, they're pretty stable, like throughout the entire month. It's the same sort of up and down consistency. But for a woman, we fluctuate a lot in our hormones, which automatically translate to fluctuating a lot with our emotions. So if a man is going at a consistent pace, and for a woman, this could be up, and then we might be down the next week or so because we're past our ovulation, and then during ovulation, we're really high energy, and maybe we have more more energy, more initiation, more fire, more of an Aries start of the cycle. But then towards the end, during our shedding period, we might be a lot more focused on the self, maybe a lot more snappy towards people and so forth. So our emotions are transforming at much larger intensities and frequencies than a male's. And when we consider this, we want to appreciate what a woman brings into the relationship with a man, and that is emotional intelligence. So we're in a society that is swimming in a lot of emotions, but we don't know how or what to do with them. We almost feel like they're the driving force. And the entire idea behind naming my movement Vulcan ability is that our emotions, if not tamed, they are like a volcano and they just simply erupt all over the place, scathe roads, kill. There might be casualties in the mix. So, when a woman is tapped into her power and if she has done the internal work is not just a series of gratitude every morning, although it is a wonderful practice to get you more positive oriented in your day. The inner work is really facing your own demons and confronting them, becoming friends with them, even becoming aware that not everything is going to change after one night. So, identifying areas in yourself that are causing negative emotions, such as anger at the self, lack of forgiveness, um, maybe grief or regret or shame. When we identify what is causing that within us, we are less likely to project those emotions into any template. So, the way that I see it and how this plays out in relationships is essentially you have this kind of hologram template of what a an argument could look like in your relationship. And then you have all these emotions floating around, you're over here, your partner is like over here stable and you're like all the way here. And then all of a sudden, this template arises, and this high volatile emotion is almost like, bingo, there's a match with this template. So let's just kind of like lock it in. And when you lock it in, what that means is whatever internal emotion you were experiencing within yourself because of something that was arising with you, that you were maybe disharmonious within yourself, maybe dishonest, it's up to you to figure out what that was, now has a road to express itself the easiest in one capacity, and also the way it's going to get the most attention, because it's been trying to get your attention for quite some time, and you've been ignoring it. So now it sees a perfect path to really show itself like, hey, I am feeling, let's say, angry at myself because I've done this and like I haven't addressed it within me. So now I'm just going to yell at my partner because he's doing this thing and I don't even know why I'm making such a big deal out of it. So you get into that sense. So let me bring it back to emotional intelligence. When we realize what women have the power to do, and that's have men tap into their emotions, feel safe in feeling them, and then be okay with being vulnerable enough to share those emotions with us. Um, that's a big power. That's People don't realize how much men can really open up to a woman that they're in a partnership with, because most of the women, we have not done the internal emotional uh like the strengthening of our emotional tenacity in order to hold space for a man's emotions. Many of the times we just want to, sit at a surface level with our own emotions, and then drag our partners into the mix and be like, hey, come help me fix this because I'm not happy about this, and that must mean that, you have to come fix this. And again, that plays into the whole savior complex that public media has really, mm, maybe presented in, let's say, my era, which would be the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, this idea that there's a man that's always going to come save us. So this idea of sticking to our emotions at a surface level and then attracting a man to feel his emotions and help us figure out why we're not really happy in our relationships is self-defeating. The more we step into what our emotions are and why they arise within us, and then bring that to the partnership, that creates the environment for a man's emotions to come forth. And once they come forth, we have to have enough emotional intelligence to be okay with just having them experience that emotion and not putting anything on top of it, not adding our own connection to their experience. And what I want to share as well is, once we create this emotional intelligence within ourselves, again, that is the catalyst within the relationship for the man to actually start experiencing his own emotions, become honest with himself about how he feels about you, about the relationship, about himself, and so forth. And once we've established that safety net for the man to experience his emotions, this is where we tie in the idea that I really wanted to tap on today, which is having a man create an environment that allows a woman to thrive. One of the only thing I actually want to touch on today, because we're kind of coming up to the end of our time together, I really want to add value to these topics, is holding space for a woman to experience longing. Longing is such a beautiful, misunderstood part of a woman's essence, and a thread of connection within intimacy and relationships. We are going to experience longing, whether that's longing for physical intimacy with our partners because they've been away on a trip, or maybe it's just craving longing a hug at the end of a long day because you've had a really tough one. We are going to experience longing if it is a healthy relationship. And again, this is where emotional intelligence actually adds to our experience of longing for a woman, because we are emotionally intelligent enough to know this is an ever present experience in our relationship. We cannot get rid of longing. If we try to get rid of longing, that's as irrelevant, or it's not going to get you anywhere just as much as removing suffering doesn't get us anywhere, because that's just life. So being in partnership, being in intimate relationships in a romantic space together, there will be longing. And when a man is able to experience his emotions from the space that a woman creates within herself and in the relationship, by default, then he is able to simply hold the borders and almost create this, to me it's like this chalice, and just hold a woman and have her experience her longing, not feel like she needs to dampen it, not feel like there's anything she needs to do to change it, or to expedite it, to make it more, to exploit it. None of that. It's simply holding. And the closest experience that I can relate this to is when you are simply cuddling in a non-sexual manner and you just feel really held in your man's presence, in your man's body, in his home. So this actually translates on an energetic level when we discuss emotions and we discuss longing. So having a man be able to tap into his emotions from your connection to your own dark inner emotions and an understanding of why there's disharmony in you creates a safe environment for the man to put his guard down, look around, be like, okay, well, what do we have over here? Because I was never able to look around the room I'm in. I was more just focused, like we must protect the woman, we have to get to point B, we have to get to the castle and tell everyone she's safe. Like that's kind of, in a metaphorical sense, the mindset of someone who is not tapped into his emotions in a relationship. Because when you are just so focused on the present moment and just going forward and nothing deeper than the surface level, you're not able to excavate what the moment brings to us. And each moment, especially in a relationship, brings us an opportunity to get closer to our partners or further apart. And it's really just how we approach the experience that chooses which one it's going to end up being. So I want you to take these themes forward in this week. Have yourself consider what sort of longing you have experienced in your life. Have you ever experienced longing? Maybe what is your relationship to longing? Does it feel yucky? Does it feel needy? Because it doesn't have to. It can feel very invigorating to feel longing for your man. It's almost, if you read The Alchemist by Paul Coelho, there's a sentence in that book that I really love, and it says, "A woman of the desert waits for her man." I think that beautifully connects to this theme of longing and of desiring your man before you're able to actually physically come together. Because no matter how much you come together emotionally or physically, there's always going to be a little sense of, I can't get enough of you. And that's exactly what we want to nurture in romance. So thank you so much, my ladies. I hope this was educational as always. Thank you for giving me the grace of last week. I was under the weather, so I really want to just always show up my best here for you all, with the most authentic, experienced news I have. Thank you so much, and happy Magical Friday.